Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a break with Stephen Shamus, the Stephen Shamus.
Hey, good to see you, my friend. What do you got on your shirt there, Alex?
I'm stuck in the October mode still because I've got my shipyard brewing sweatshirt on. I know.
No judgment.
Pullover. What do they call it? Rompers in the UK. Rompers. Yeah. Weird British people. I don't know what they're doing.
All right. So what are we talking about today, Alex?
We're going to jump back into some Marvel stuff and talk a little Mr. Negative, which has been my nickname a couple times in my life. A Nightmare on Elm Street, which we did horror stuff, but we've never talked about this. I'm very excited.
One who can stop it if she fails.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
No one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Probably the worst Incredible Hulk villains, the UFOs, and then Itchy and Scratchy from one of the best shows of all time, The Simpsons.
I brought you more lasagna, cousin.
Right. Okay. What do we got first, Alex?
Let's talk a little Mr. Negative.
Yeah. Who's Mr. Negative?
Mr. Negative, oddly enough, was a character, is a character in the Marvel universe, mostly a Spider-Man villain, kind of like a head of a gang, but he got his powers the same time Cloak and Dagger did, but we just didn't learn about him till way later. He's got like weird like on and off, like there's a Mr. Negative persona and then the Lee persona, and he becomes like a crime kingpin, but essentially he's a bad guy and he fights Spider-Man a lot. And funny enough, he's a newer character, but he was created, the same powers were created from when he was with Cloak and Dagger, which is an old character.
Got it. Okay, so Free Comic Book Day 2007, number one.
It's a
June
big one.
2007, 179, 9.8. It's about a $225 book now. Amazing
That's
Spider-Man
big.
Swing Shift. First appearance of Jackpot, which also contributes, and Mr. Negative, Martin Lee, Dan Slott's story, Phil Jimenez, Andy Lanning, and John Dell art with a Phil Jimenez cover. Then Amazing Spider-Man number 546, February of 2008, 281, 9.8. It's about a $125 book. First appearance of Freak and Bill Hollister. Mr. Negative appearance, Jackpot, Aunt May, Harry Osborn backup. There is a lot of different stories in there with Steve.
It's a big one.
It's a big book. Then you have Dark Reign, Mr. Negative number one from August of 2009. It's a $5 to $10 raw book with only 3 9.8s. Spider-Man, Spot, Answer, White Dragon, White Rabbit, Light Master, Speed Demon, Scorcher, Hammerhead, and Hood appearances. We've talked about a lot of these characters, so this is actually pretty good issue. Same thing with the rest of the series. Issue number 2 came out in September. 4 9.8s. It's about a cover price issue now. And then number 3 came out in October, 2 9.8s. That's about a cover price now too. So there seems to be some interest in the Free Comic Book Day and the Amazing Spider-Man 546.
And those Dark Reign miniseries ones, like that's a really small pop. It's really small pop. 3 9.8s, 4 9.8s. Yeah. And if he shows up in Spider-Verse, get out. Yeah.
That's what I think people are thinking.
Yep.
First trailer hit. Okay. What are we talking about next, Alex?
A Nightmare on Elm Street, our first Freddy Krueger foray.
It's funny, we talked about this a few weeks ago where we said we never talked about it, so we started looking it up. There's a lot of different books over the years. There's definitely some very rare, very valuable books. Right now we're going to talk about this. Right, we're going to talk about the stuff from the 80s and 90s. We're not going to go into a little bit of the 2000s. We're not going to go into the Avatar stuff yet because there's so many different blue foil, gold foil, red foil, limited
so
edition.
Much.
It's kind of hard to
buy them all.
How
about that? Yeah,
right, but these are the originals, so we're going to kind of talk about these a little bit. Do you want to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street, or
it's people classic? Yeah, I think you know who Freddy Krueger is. I mean that's kind of what that's the character in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Huge movies, huge character. I mean, horror franchises probably up there alongside Halloween and Michael Myers and all those Friday Friday the 13th, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, Freddy Krueger, you know who it is. You know that.
Yeah,
hat and those
that's the
claws.
thing is, right. It's one of those things where like you could be an 80-year-old grandmother or like
Yeah.
a 15-year-old kid, and like you know who Freddy Krueger is, right? It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
interesting, right? How it's
Pop
captured the
culture,
phenomenon.
very pop culture.
Pop culture. Yeah. So the first book is Fangoria Presents Freddy from Starlog. It's a magazine from 1989. It's a zero pop book. It's about a $25 raw. I would imagine in a high grade it would sell for a lot.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger's A Nightmare on Elm Street from Marvel. The first Marvel issue came out in October of 1989, number 1. There are only 16 9.8s. It's a $75 to $100 raw book. Raw.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really creeping up there, Alex.
Yeah. It's a hard book to find.
I would imagine a 9.8 at those prices, probably 500 plus.
Yep.
Joe Jusko cover, Steve Gerber
Beautiful,
story, Rich
yes.
Buckler, Tony DeZuniga, and Alfredo Alcala art. Then we have the Innovation series.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street from Innovation from September of 1991. Number 1, 11 9.8s. A 9.2 sold for 100, and
Wow.
it's $30 raw. Very, very tough to find.
Yeah.
Andy Bangle story, Tony Harris art.
Early
Miles
Tony
Davis
Harris.
cover.
Early. Yeah.
Right. The only other issue I want to talk about from Innovation is the number 6 issue, which is very, very rare. It's a $150 raw book. It's a very, very difficult.
Probably one of the last issues. Yeah. Before they canceled and moved.
Then you have Nightmare on Elm Street, the beginning from Innovation, summer of 1992. Number 1, 3 9.6s only, no 9.8s. It's $100 and 9.2 and $30 raw. Again, Andy Mangle's story. So these are all very, very tough to find. If you get high grades, you're going to be cooking. Nightmare on Elm Street, DC Wildstorm, December of 2006. There are 22 9.8s. It's a $15 raw book. Chuck Dixon story, Kevin West and Bob Ullman art. The real cover that everyone's looking for is the Tim Bradstreet You'll Never Sleep Again variant cover. There's only 4 9.8s. It's a $40 to $50 raw book.
Yeah.
So these books are definitely picking up.
Get them all. Just get them all.
Yeah. All right, Alex's pick of the week. What do you got?
Maybe something you might have heard about, but there's a Superman comic that is really it's called This Island Bradman. Have you ever heard of this? So there's a Superman comic that a eccentric tycoon, Godfrey Bradman, had DC probably paid. They think it was around somewhere like 18 grand back in like the late 80s or early 80s to have them do a specific comic book for his son's bar mitzvah. And it was drawn by Kurt Swan. It was written by, I think, it was David Levin, so not someone you know, but drawn by Kurt Swan. And the book was about Superman and this family, the Bradman kids, which was Daniel and Andrew, and they helped Superman fight these aliens. So this comic was only given out at this bar mitzvah. Am I saying that right? Bar mitzvah?
Bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. Bar mitzvah's boy, bat mitzvah's a girl.
So bar mitzvah. And the only way to get these books was if you were at the party. And there was only they're thinking there's only around 100 made, and the only few that have come out have been like file copies from DC. So people that are just kind of leaving for the weekend and snagging one out of the file cabinet, which happens a lot more than you think. But I mean, this as a Superman comic, it's a super rare book, and they sell anywhere from, when they do come available, anywhere from $500 to $600. The original art sold for like $5 grand, and again, it was Kurt Swan art. But
wow,
if you were part of the bar mitzvah and you have a copy, keep it and put it on eBay, because they are extremely hard to find. Only about 100 made. Like that's it. Superman comic.
Huge.
Kurt Swan.
All right, that's very cool. All right, what do we got next, Alex?
Let's talk UFOs. UFOs.
Oh, I got it.
I think that's what it means.
So what's the story with Vector, Vapor, Ironclad, and X-Ray?
X-Ray. They sound like the Metalmen. Or who was that? There was the Impossibles, the band, the cartoon that was a band and also superheroes. They're just a villain, a Hulk villain group. I mean, like they are Ironclad's made out of metal. X-Ray has like X-ray powers and what is it, radioactivity. Vapor turns into vapor. Vector is like he can repel matter, like, you know, if you punch him, it like bounces off. So not like the greatest original thinking, but they've been a Hulk villain for a long time. Anytime you see them, they're usually fighting the Hulk or the Avengers or something. Very odd why these books are kind of ticking up. I don't think they're attached to anything. I just think people are just looking in to see what's old, what doesn't have a lot of pop, and what can you get in high grade for cheap. And I think this is one of the things that are just cooking.
Got it. Incredible Hulk number 254, December of 1980, 39 9.8s, and it's a $625 book. Origin and first appearance of the UFOs, Vector, Vapor, Ironclad, and X-Ray. Bill Mantlo story, Sal Buscema art, Al Milgrom cover. And then Hulk number 276, October of 1982, 19 9.8s. It's about a $175 book. Again, the UFOs appearance, Bill Mantlo story, Sal Buscema and Joe Sinnott art with an Al Milgrom cover again. All right, what are we closing with tonight? You're going to be shocked because I know they printed a
gazillion. Itchy and Scratchy, the best little thing to come out of The Simpsons. I love Itchy and Scratchy.
Again, the nostalgia factor.
Yep.
But Alex, they printed a lot of copies of
They did.
books.
The first Simpsons comics, the Simpsons comics, and then the others, the Bartman comic, and this one, like they printed a ton. These were huge. It was big push.
They printed a ton of these. I know when these came out.
Yeah.
They printed these. Okay.
Yeah.
So Itchy and Scratchy Bongo Comics Group 1993, 231 9.8s, right? Not a small pop.
No.
2 9.9s, $375 today at 9.8.
That's bananas because that's a very high pop. That nostalgia. People just want them. They want them for their collection. They don't care what the price is.
Itchy and Scratchy poster included, $1.95 edition manufactured without the poster. Forward by Matt Groening, Steve Vance story, Mike Milo art, Steve Vance and Bill Morrison cover. Bill Morrison, everybody. Bill Morrison has done like every single Simpsons cover under the sun.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Once you got it, stick with it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just once you got to stick with it. Yep.
So thank you for joining us this week. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Hope you guys have a healthy and happy New Year. And we will see you all after the new year. And we appreciate your time this week. And if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the field below. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Same bat time.
Same bat channel. Bye, guys.